The U.S. military has moved almost 130 officers together with versatile rocket launchers to a destroy island within the Aleutian chain of western Alaska, in the midst of a recent increase in Russian military planes and vessels drawing closer to American territory. 8 Russian military planes and 4 naval force vessels, including 2 submarines, have come near to Alaska within the past week as Russia and China conducted joint military drills. None of the planes breached U.S. airspace. And a Pentagon representative said Tuesday there was no cause for alarm. It's not the first time that we've seen the Russians and the Chinese flying, within the region, and that's something that we closely monitor, and it's also something that we're prepared to respond to, Pentagon Representative Major General Pat Ryder said at a news conference. As part of a force projection operation, the Army on September 12th sent the soldiers to Shemya Island, about 1,200 miles southwest of Anchorage, where the U.S. Air Force maintains an air station that dates to World War II. The soldiers brought 2 high-mobility artillery rocket systems, or HIMARS, with them. U.S. Senator Dan Sullivan, R. Alaska, said the U.S. military also deployed a guided missile destroyer and a Coast Guard vessel to the western region of Alaska as Russia and China began the Ocean 24 military exercises in the Pacific and Arctic Oceans on September 10th. The North American Aviation Defense Command said it identified and followed Russian military planes working off the frozen north over a 4-day span. There were 2 planes each on September 11th, September 13th, September 14th, and September 15th. The planes worked within the frozen north discussed defense identification zone, a zone past U.S. majestic airspace but inside which the U.S. anticipates flying machines to distinguish themselves, NORAD said. The Russian international safe haven in the U.S. did not promptly react to an email looking for comment. Coast Protect said Sunday its country security vessel, the 418-foot Stratton, was on schedule watch within the Chukchi Ocean when it followed 4 Russian Alliance Naval Force vessels approximately 60 miles northwest of Point Hope, the frozen north. The Russian vessels, which included 2 submarines, a frigate, and a tugboat, had crossed the sea boundary into U.S. waters to maintain a strategic distance from ocean ice, which is permitted beneath universal rules and traditions. 2 years ago, a U.S. Coast Protect transport approximately 85 miles north of Alaska's Kiska Island within the Bering Ocean came over 3 Chinese and 4 Russian maritime vessels cruising in single arrangement. Ryder, the Pentagon representative, said the later spike is something that we'll continue to keep an eye on but doesn't pose a risk from our perspective. Sullivan called for a bigger military presence within the Aleutians while advocating for the U.S. to respond with strength to Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping. In the past 2 years, we've seen joint Russian-Chinese discuss and maritime works out off our shores and a Chinese spy balloon floating over our communities, Sullivan said in a statement Tuesday. These escalating incidents illustrate the critical role the Arctic plays in great power competition between the U.S., Russia, and China. Sullivan said the U.S. Navy ought to revive its closed base at Adak, located in the Aleutians. Naval Air Facility Adak was closed in 1997. Associated Press journalists Tara Kopp and Lolita Baldor contributed from Washington, D.C.